Do you really need more reason to play this game? What's up, guys? As you may know, I've been playing a lot of Space Marine 2, and I've really been loving it. The campaign was really good, really enjoyed it, which I've already had a couple videos on if you want to go watch those. Then after you finish the campaign, there's other modes like the Operations mode, which is essentially just a co-op game mode that puts you into different missions, kind of like the Spec Ops missions from old Modern Warfare games. And I highly recommend that game mode. However, I do want to shed some light more on the PvP mode, which for me was a bit of a pleasant surprise. Because I mainly bought Space Marine 2 for the campaign.
That's why I'm here.
I was really just a lot more interested in the solo experience. Even though it's not a really in-depth story, I was still interested in the story. So that's really why I bought the game. And for me, the multiplayer was kind of an afterthought. So I ended up playing it as kind of an afterthought. I pretty much just finished my time with everything else. And then I thought, yeah, let's go spend a few minutes in the PvP. Then that few minutes did turn into at least a couple of hours because I planned on playing just one game. And then it turned out that the PvP mode is actually pretty damn fun. It's a bit of a throwback to more like arena-style shooters. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Gears of War type multiplayer where, there's a lot of diving and rolling, even though it's not really like cover based or anything. It is a lot of big beefy dudes.
100% beef.
Diving and rolling to outmaneuver your opponents. And much like the rest of the game, it's a pretty straightforward mode. The maps are built pretty evenly, typical of an arena style shooter. There's only a few game modes at the moment. Like your typical team deathmatch, and then there's a mode that's pretty similar to such as like Headquarters or maybe like King of the Hill. I might refer to it as that, where both sides are fighting for the same position, and whoever controls it the longest racks up the most points. Like I said, it's a pretty straightforward game mode. The multiplayer is fairly simple, but I think that's much like the rest of the game. I think that's really why it works and why it's fun. Well, I can say I wasn't very good at it.
But I'm not very good at it.
At least starting off, the learning curve for it is not very steep. You can just jump in, immediately start having fun. You're not going to be very good at first. At least I wasn't. But it doesn't take long to start getting the hang of things. Getting used to diving and rolling, which you pretty much already do in the campaign. Getting used to the different abilities of each of the classes you get to choose from. And then eventually just coming full circle to the combat that you should already be familiar with from the campaign of just running and gunning and then swinging your chainsword around. Assuming your class has a chainsword, of course. One thing that is nice about the game mode is even though it is pretty simple and straightforward, it doesn't feel like an afterthought. Even though it was an afterthought for me to play, it doesn't feel like it was tacked on by the developers. The developers clearly fully fleshed out this mode. Like I said, there's plenty of classes to choose from. I think the maps are well designed. They have plenty of customization options as well. Unfortunately, I feel like I always ended up playing as the Chaos Marines. I very rarely ever got to rotate back to the human side. So I didn't get to use my Salamander armor very often. But that being said, the customization is pretty cool. You just spend some points to buy new colors. It kind of reminds me of like old Halo Reach customization, where you just change little pieces of the armor here and there, and you can kind of create your own thing, whether you want it to be authentic to the lore. Like I said, I created like a Salamander Space Marine, or you can kind of mix and match some things and make it your own. I haven't gone too much through the Chaos Marines customization, but from what I've seen, even from just the basic designs, they're pretty cool and intricate. Again, where this mode doesn't feel like it was just tacked on. There's clear care taken to make these Chaos Marines actually look pretty cool and unique. And just from the other players I've played against who've put in more time than me, I've seen some just some pretty cool customization options on their armor, which just adds to this even the PvP feeling like a world that's lived in. The community clearly is very involved in having fun with it, and they're pretty committed. And so I think Saber Interactive is probably going to have some DLC or some updates that'll add a little bit more to that customization, because right now I think that's a pretty strong point of the PvP. Gives you a lot more options than what you get from the campaign. Now, one complaint I had Um, well, I guess it's technically two complaints, which I already mentioned one, where I hardly ever rotated back to uh, playing as humans. Um, I, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's cool to play as Chaos Marines, but I kind of just got stuck as a Chaos Marine more than anything. But the other big complaint is the map rotation. I felt like I always ended up playing the same map, just kind of over and over and over again.
I'm tired, boss.
But the maps themselves, they're pretty simple and straightforward. The arena style shooters, so they're all fun. I wouldn't say any of the maps are like particularly stand out, so I guess that's another little knock against it. While they're balanced well, I can't remember a single map that I was like, oh, I really like this one, or oh, I don't really like this one, because they all just do kind of feel the same and start to blur together a little bit. Which, in all fairness, that tends to just happen with arena shooters. And a lot of games these days, as they focus a lot more on competitive play, they all do tend to kind of just feel the same as, for the sake of balance, quote unquote. And this next point is could be a positive or a negative, just depending on what kind of player you are. Now, I played it mainly by myself, and it was a lot of fun playing by myself. I don't usually play multiplayer by myself, so if multiplayer can get me to actually play it on my own, then that's usually a good sign that it's fun. Because I'm a bit of a social gamer in that respect, where I'll kind of only play the multiplayer if I have friends with me. But this one, it actually got me to play it on my own and put in a couple hours just playing on my own. However, the gameplay definitely does reward teamwork. So it definitely goes a lot smoother if you're communicating with your team, because there's some classes where they're pretty aggressive, and so if you just shoot in there, with a grappling hook and dive into the other team without telling anybody, usually can just get you slaughtered, and then your team's down a person. There's also another class that can regenerate everybody's armor, so it's useful for that person to communicate with the team and try to coordinate some kind of defense or attack or whatever. But the gameplay does still come down to just being able to shoot and maneuver. So you can still definitely play it solo. You can still do very well solo. But I think the game definitely does shine a little bit more if you're able to use some teamwork, especially since the time to kill is a little bit high, being that your space marines going against each other, they're pretty heavily armored. So with that time to kill, just makes things a lot easier, a lot smoother if you are playing with a team. But it's still definitely fun solo. Like I said, I played it solo, had a lot of fun. Like I said, it's kind of sucked at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad, and you can start racking up some kills pretty quickly. Now, I don't know if you'll necessarily win, just being kill hungry as a solo player, but you can still get by playing by yourself. But yeah, this game mode's pretty fun. It's like I said, it's simple and straightforward, and I think that's a strength, the same strength that the rest of the game has. It's simple, straightforward. Just jump in, start having fun. It's just a nice, fun, casual play. Shit, I could play it on my lunch break and just probably just have a little bit of fun for 30 minutes and move on. But I think it's an underrated aspect of this game that isn't being talked about enough, because it still has all the same strengths as the rest of the game. Simple, straightforward, jump in, start having fun. So yeah, I think you should go play it. Anyway, that's all I got for today. I am also using a new mic setup, so if you like the audio in this one, if it's a little bit better than the other videos, go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know if you think this is an improvement, or if I should, keep looking for better audio setups. But anyway, go ahead and like and subscribe if you're not subscribed, and maybe watch another one.